Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, Life Coach Marina Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Allyson Chavez. Allyson is a prosperity and success coach, and today we're going to be speaking on the topic, why women should lead with feminine energy. Yep, we want feminine energy because it has some benefits. So welcome, Allyson.
Oh, Myrna, thank you so much. I am so excited for this conversation we're going to have.
Yes, me too. All right. Well, I hope you guys are pumped. Stay tuned because yes, we're going to talk about why feminine energy is so important and why you should lead with it. We're also going to talk a little bit about pleasure. So stay tuned. All right, guys. So let me give you guys a brief bio on Allyson. Allyson Chavez is a prosperity and success coach for ambitious, God-centered women. She teaches women how to get phenomenal results with ease, bend time and space, achieve their goals without hustle or grind, and reshape their reality in feminine energy. No more constant pushing. She's a sought-after speaker on mindset, prosperity, universal laws, and success strategies for relationships and life. She's the best-selling author of The Prosperity Approach. Her work has been featured on CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, and hundreds of television, newspaper, and magazine outlets. Allyson believes that challenge is necessary on your journey to success, but not the struggle. The struggle ain't. Her mission is to end the struggle and bring joy to the lives of millions of women around the globe. That includes you. All right. So as Allyson said, she can't wait to dive in and share with you what she's got. But before we do that, I always want to start off with the backstory, because the backstory is very important to how we arrive at this position in our career. So Allyson, what was your journey to becoming a success coach?
Well, my journey was doing it wrong all the way along.
Okay.
So the thing that got me really diving into the feminine was by being so overly masculine that I felt like my soul was being sucked dry, even though I was doing something that was so near and dear to my heart. I was coaching women, I was teaching them to be successful, and I was in hustle and grind and constant push and figure it out and make it happen. And I'm not good enough. And like all of that nonsense that we go through. And actually, I built my company from nothing to multiple six figures in just over 2 years.
Nice.
But I didn't have the right mindset. I didn't have the right structure behind me as far as like my own belief system. And like I said before, I was just in so much masculine energy. And so my business began to crumble. And the harder I worked to save that thing, the faster my business fell. And it landed in well, I like to call like financial Armageddon. it was translated into a chapter 13 bankruptcy several years ago. And when the dust settled and I had a moment of clarity, I was like, wow, I created this and I didn't mean to. I wonder if I can create my way out of it. I bet I can. And I really feel like that's the moment when God and my angels were like, she is ready. She's going to learn. She's ready to suit up and get on the field and actually go. And so there were 3 really important things that God needed to teach me. And first, it was understanding the difference between feminine energy and masculine energy, balancing the two, and then leading with my feminine and letting masculine support. I had to learn how money actually works on a spiritual and energetic level. So I would stop getting afraid of losing it or guilty when I would spend it. And I had to learn how to change my beliefs, my subconscious programs. And I learned those 3 things actually really quickly. And I started to apply them. And within 6 months, I went from a bankruptcy to $232,000. I went from 6 clients to 97 clients in the same amount of time. I released 45 pounds, and it was the easiest, most effortless, most supportive 45 pounds I have ever released in my life. I did that in about 4 months, transformed my relationships with my spouse, with our children, and just like all of life changed in amazing ways. And that was about 3 years ago. Now we've gone to just continue to scale our company. We've done over 2.1 million over the last 3 years. We've done, I've kept the weight off. I've kept the feminine on, kept my health on, like all of the things. And it has been the most amazing experience. And let me tell you, like, I've been on this planet too with everybody else over the last 3 years. So like, there have been ups and downs as well. We've had heartbreak in our family. We've had heartache in our family. We've had the flow of money just like everybody else has, but it's been amazing how we've been able to navigate it so much better because of these things that I know, and especially leading with feminine energy. It is key. It is key.
Wow.
To so many.
Wow. You know, I love my job. I mean, these are really interesting conversations here. But all right, I'm going to circle back to a couple of things. So the first thing I want to say is, you know, a lot of women in the corporate world, and even when they have their own business, feel that they have to establish themselves as with the male energy, because maybe they feel that in order for them to be seen, they've got to be like the man, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that masculine energy at work, but a lot of people, you know, I've had this a really interesting guest on my show, and he's coming back again. And he's saying that women should have their masculine energy, but they should leave it in the drawer at night. And when they go home, they switch on to feminine. But you're talking about feminine, you like that, right?
That doesn't work.
But you're talking about feminine energy at work. But before we get into that, I always like to know catalyst. So what was the catalyst in your shift from masculine to feminine? I mean, you went into chapter 13, but that doesn't immediately say, hey, I got to change to feminine energy. What happened there?
The catalyst was that I was robbed of joy as I went. I was so tired of always moving, always pivoting, always doing, figure it out. And I was like, I was so serious. It's like I was playing this sudden death match with my company all the time. And it was exhausting. It was robbing me of my radiance. It was robbing me of my light. But I also knew that my mission that I had was 100% given to me by God. And so this was my calling in life. And I'm like, this is a price tag that I am not willing to pay any longer. So if I'm going to fulfill this mission, I'm going to help women get out of struggle and get into the flow of life, then I'm not paying this price anymore, where it's just robbing me of
so you
my
didn't have an aha moment like Oprah would say. You just prayed, and that was basically what your guidance system told you.
Oh, well,
I'm still trying to get to the switch, you know, because we all have a switch.
The switch was, can I do this on my own terms? I've done this on other people's terms. Can I actually make money on my own terms?
Okay.
And what would my terms be?
Okay. All right. I got that. All right. So now let's talk about this feminine energy thing. So, yeah. So with masculine energy, you're right. We're the boss. We're in charge. We are hard. You know what I mean? We're no nonsense. We are, what they call the bitches. But, then when we flip, right? Yeah. Tell us about the flip. So why should women lead with feminine energy? But that's a question I had here.
Okay. So first and foremost, I want to make a distinction. We're not talking about male and female. We're talking about energies of creation, and every gender has both feminine energy and masculine energy. With women, we're meant to lead with our feminine energy. So if you think about an analogy, if we have a riverbank, the riverbank is masculine energy and the river is feminine energy.
Because it's flowing. All right. I
Yes.
got
If we
you.
only have the river and no riverbank, that water gets very destructive. It goes everywhere and seeps into everything, but it doesn't have a whole lot of power because has no direction behind it. If we only have the riverbank, but there's no river flowing, very, very quickly that riverbank has no purpose. And that's why if we are, as women, are in constant masculine energy, the constant doing, the constant building, the constant framework, the structure, the strategies, the tactics, without letting the feminine lead, which is the vision, it's the imagination, it's the flow, it's the experience we desire to have, very, very quickly, we start thinking, what's the point of all of this?
Okay.
And so the masculine and the feminine energies are complementary energies. So the feminine energy is the being energy. The masculine energy is the doing energy.
Right. Okay.
Feminine energy is very circular or spiral in the way that it moves. Masculine energy is very linear in the way that it moves. Think about how women have conversations. We go here, we go there, we go back there, then we circle back around here, like we ping everywhere. And
Right.
men have a very hard time following that because they're in masculine energy, which is very linear. We got to go A, B, C, and D. And women aren't, our brains aren't wired that way.
Okay.
Now, they serve each other, feminine and masculine energy. But when we as women lead with our feminine, the masculine energy is actually divinely designed to serve the feminine. Regina Thomasschauer is an expert on feminine energy, and she says the primary function of feminine energy is desire, and the primary function of masculine energy is the production of that desire. So it's here to support us in our dreams. As I've been pondering it and I've been doing research and my own experience, what came to me intuitively was feminine is the experience and masculine is the execution. So it's understandable why women in business, whether you own your own company or whether you're working in a corporation, we are like all masculine all the time because it's about production, right? It's about productivity. It's about getting stuff done and meeting your numbers and your like all of those things that are really important.
Making sure that they don't pass you over because you're a woman and give the promotions to the men.
Yeah, yeah.
You've got to make sure you whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
but what doesn't serve anybody in the workforce is if women are just behaving like shorter, less hairy men, we are robbed of a really important creative energy, which is the feminine. And a lot of women think, okay, I'm going to wear some pink hoop earrings or pink feather earrings, and then that's going to make me feminine.
Stiletto heels.
Or the stiletto heels that we just like walk all over people on.
Well, then you look feminine, right? But it's not the energy. Very
Correct.
good clarification.
Correct.
Good clarification.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So we want to be in that flow. We want to start in feminine energy throughout the day. What do we want to experience throughout the day? The feminine is all about connection. It's all about community. It's all about the we. And the desire, as women are built for that community and for that connection. And so that desire.
So give us a practical example of how you did it, because I'm understanding what you're saying about because that's what I do. You know, I'm a very warm person and I like to connect and, you know, I like to have conversation and, I have vision and all those different things. But you did something phenomenal. You went from 0 to 200,000 in, you know, and 2 million in 3 years. And, you know, we've got women that are all their lives haven't gotten there. So what did you give us a practical example of how you changed it in your world?
So I have my outcome. I've got the result that I want. We've got the goal, right? People are going to be able to land with the goal. And then I think to myself, what's the easiest, fastest, most pleasurable way that I can get to this desire, to this goal?
Okay.
And when I get in, like our bodies will tell us very quickly if we're in too much masculine or too much feminine energy. So the feminine energy is a very playful energy. It's a flirting kind of an energy. It's there's a lot of enjoyment to it. And so that's what I use when I go into my office each day. I flirt with my work and I play with my work, because if I don't, I get way too serious too fast. And then I'm like, the weight of the world is on my shoulders and I got to push the river. Right.
That's unique. That's
And
unique, but
yeah,
I like it. Right.
and I'm not available to do that anymore, because when we're only in masculine energy, we can't connect with others. It's why so many women aren't present with their families. And then they feel so guilty because they can't be present with their kids. They can't be present with their partner. They're always thinking about work. And then when they're at work, they're thinking about their home. And so they're always feeling a certain amount of guilt. Yeah. Yeah. And so what do I want to experience as I'm doing my work each day? And there are, like, I have tasks like everybody else. I got things that need to get done and projects that we're working on. So I'll look at it. All right, what feels the lightest for me to pick up right now? What feels lightest, easiest, and most fun for me to tackle right now, for lack of a better word? And something will always rise to the top. Now, I've had women tell me before, nothing here feels light or fun or easy. Nothing on my to-do list feels good. Okay, but one of them feels lighter than the other. I do know that. One of them feels lighter than the other. So we need to get you in the right state of mind and the right state of being so that the light one will rise to the top. And there are things you can do with that. Get into your body. Turn on music for 2 minutes. And I know people are listening going, oh my gosh, this is so ridiculous, but you've got to try it. Don't knock it before you've tried it. Get into music that makes you feel feminine, or music that just makes you feel alive, and start moving your hips side to side, move your shoulders back. Those of you who can see me on the camera, like, it's so feminine. Get into your body, feel the muscles in your back as you move. Just get connected, because so many women aren't connected to their body. And so we just get in there for a couple of minutes and I move and I just, oh yeah, I dance. And then I've got like this new life. All right, now I'm going to go see, what am I working on today? What we got, here's the desire. The desire is flow. The desire is fun. The desire is connection. All right, what are we going to work on first? And then I'll work on that. Now, I also know when I've been in too much masculine for too long, because things start feeling heavy. And my body tells me by doing this. Have you ever done that, Myrna?
Right. Decide, right.
And you start telling yourself, okay, just 15 minutes. We just got to push through this. We just got to endure. I know in that moment, I've been in too much masculine for too long. Now, let me say this. There are times when we have to push. Deadlines are there to give us a sense of urgency and to get us into some action. And so pushing is okay. There are times when we need to push, but we push all the time. So when you just feel like you're just pushing, and it's getting harder and harder, set it down, leave your office. Leave your physical environment. I don't care if you go 3 feet out of your office. That's what I'll do. I work at home. I'll walk down the hallway and I'll just breathe to get back into my body, to get back into the feminine. Because what we need to do is we got to start in feminine energy, and then we got to reconnect to it throughout the day. You know, like the gentleman who was on your show that said, women, like, show up masculine, but then, put your feminine on when you get home. We have a very, very hard time doing that. If we're in masculine all day long, we can't just go home and be like, and now I'm
you can't put it in a drawer.
Which is like, we don't compartmentalize quite like men do.
Well, that's a man talking, right? You remember you said they're linear and they can compartmentalize. But all right. Well, something, like I said, I love my job. But all right, so a couple of things I want to say. First, you're talking about the flirting thing. Mm-hmm. How many women flirt these days? But that's how we were, in my age group anyway, we were taught that, we were, when we were growing up, you flirt with a guy, you bat your eyelids, and but that's feminine energy, and they came running, right? Nobody flirts anymore. The women has taken over the job of the man, and whatever. So, but flirting, I remember that, and that's great. Well, I don't know when last time I flirted,
So here's the thing about flirting. Can we talk about that for just a
Yeah,
second?
yeah. Mhm.
So we're taught now that flirting makes you an airhead. Flirting isn't safe. We're
Probably.
obligated now to some sort of rule or game that the man wants to play if we flirt with them or if we flirt with anything. So it's just easier for us to shut that down. Flirting simply means having fun and enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
That's what flirting
Yes.
is. Oh my gosh, Myrna, you should go to the gym
Yes.
with me because I flirt with my workouts. I dance in my workouts. Like
Oh,
it's
that's awesome. That's what I'm saying. I haven't done that in ages. I'm going to start doing it, and even with my husband, because it's playfulness. And they all tell you as well that, a relationship should have playfulness. And that is part of the flirting thing.
yes.
That's amazing. Now, the other thing that is that you've just, like my aha moment kind of thing here is that I love dancing. And I will tell you something,
Mhm.
and I'm not bragging, okay, but I love dancing and in my body. And I would go to a place where, I'm just standing there moving and enjoying the music. And the men will be like, it's like I'm like the honeybee, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I figured that is because I must dance sensual or, the way I move my body. But you're just, just saying that it's feminine energy, and any masculine energy is going to be attracted to it. So now
Yes.
I know that when I have to push through, and I do, because, I live in Florida, and we had a hurricane here a couple of weeks ago, and all my outlets, because I would walk in the park and I would pray and commune with the trees, and that's been cut off. And I noticed last week, I'm telling my daughter that I have to push through. I have to push through. I've got the show to produce. I've got tons of things to do. And when I feel heavy, I got to push through. But now you're telling me I can just put on some music and just dance.
Yes,
Nice.
because feminine energy is a pulling energy and masculine energy is a pushing energy. And I talk to women all the time that are like, I'm so tired of chasing clients. Well, chasing is a masculine energy. We
Yes.
want to pull. We want it to come to us. So you've
Yes.
got to get playful. Just put on music and start to dance. And yes, it does. I've attracted lots of men at the gym as well, just because I'm having such a great time. And it is a pulling, it is literally a pulling energy.
Yes.
And guess what? Not one of the men is like, give me your number. Well, that's not true. One of them asked for my number, but I don't have to give them my number. I'm happily married. Like, they're like, wow, I really admire
It
that you
happens
do this.
every single time I go out dancing, and I stand, and because now the men are in one corner and the women are in one corner or whatever. But whenever I'm dancing, I'm always amazed, but now I understand what it is. It's yes. I mean, I thought it was just my sexy moves.
It is. It is your sexy moves because you're letting yourself be feminine and you're letting yourself exude that feminine energy because you've declared you're safe to do this. You're under no obligation to anybody on the other end, on the receiving end of that.
I'm
you
just
simply
enjoying and
yourself.
feeling the music. So yeah, so that is amazing. Now you talked about, you're at work and you've got deadlines and you've got to push through. But yeah, I mean, I know personally that, because walking and listening to, walking in nature and listening to inspirational, whether it's, whether it's church or whether it's a book or whether it's podcast, that does it for me. Right.
Yeah.
And so that is how I clear my energy and get into, feminine space and that, so when that facility was removed, then all of a sudden I'm feeling, and I do feel it, maybe I wasn't able to label it, but I just feel that I need to do something more exciting.
So can you go outside and just stand and just feel the sun right now? You might not be able to walk in the park and things like that. And
well, no, I went walking. I just walked on the road, but yeah, I have to walk, but I don't have the trees. But yes, walking is part of my routine, and I have to do it. And I'm in Florida, so there's lots of sunshine. So now I don't have the trees to commune with, but I do go walking, and I do have my headset with my inspirational stuff. and it's, 70% pleasurable, not as 100%, but yeah, but basically what I was saying, music is obviously the way to do that. So thank you for that little tidbit.
You are so welcome. And maybe while the trees aren't there right now, maybe it's the wind that, or the breeze that you can connect with and just feel that on your skin and get very sensual with that. All of the other experiences that are still there for you that you can connect with.
Yes, I love it. All right, so let's get on to our pleasure topic. So part of the feminine energy is pleasure. So one of the questions I have here for you is, how can women embrace pleasure as a success tool without feeling guilt and shame? What was I listening to the other day? I was listening to this new podcast I was listening to a podcast, and then this name came up that I've never heard of this woman, but she is apparently the female Joe Rogan and, Alex Cooper. So I was very interested in this person that is, reached the level of success as a female. So anyway, I listened to one of her episodes, and she was selling vibrators, and she's saying, it's going to come in a non-disclosed box, so you don't have to be ashamed and all that. So let's go there. We all have shame about things like that. So
we do. And so here's the thing about pleasure. Pleasure lights a woman up the same way pressure lights a man up. It fuels us in very different ways. So women have been taught that pleasure is something to be ashamed of, that pleasure is a waste of time, that downtime is a waste of time. And if you go into any sort of pleasure, now you're behind in your work. And so why would we even do that? But women are fueled by pleasure the same way men are fueled by pressure. And hey, since you said the word vibrator, so we're going to go here, but we're going to be really clinical about why women and men are designed the way they are. So the reason why women are fueled by pleasure is that pleasure actually connects them with God. We have a natural connection with the eternal. Now, that doesn't mean that men aren't spiritual, but women are more naturally wired to the eternal than men are. And we are built to receive. That the feminine is a receiving energy. And we have, like, if you think about the way that we're built in our bodies, it's all about receiving. And we have a pleasure portal. In fact, we have an organ in our body that has one function and one function only, and that's pleasure. It's called our clit. It's our clitoris. Sometimes people call it the clitoris. Men don't have that. Men have, in order for men to receive pleasure, there has to be a functionality to it as well for them to be able to receive pleasure through sexual organs. But women don't have to do that. Women can just receive that pleasure. And pleasure, when we will allow it, literally connects us to God. So if you think about those times when you have been in pleasure, isn't that when you get inspiration? Isn't that where you feel open and you get wonderful ideas and you feel connected and you can see God more clearly in your life and you just love people more? It's because you're receiving that pleasure. So women get fueled by pleasure, men get fueled by pressure, because men connect pressure to a sexual experience, because men have to experience pressure in order to ejaculate. And so, and that's creativity. That's creating life. That's potential life, potential creation. And so men thrive in pressure because it reminds them of creation and their part in creation. Women actually thrive on pleasure because that's their part of creation, is pleasure.
So what you're saying, that in order for us to be, and it's true, I actually heard something that in order for the sperm and the egg to connect, there has to be orgasm. I don't know how true it is, but what you're saying is that we're getting pleasure, and that's our function in this whole, pleasure thing, man meets woman kind of thing. And pleasure, well, yeah, listen, I love pleasure. So you
Yeah,
don't have
and
to sell
pleasure
me on
doesn't
it.
yeah, and pleasure doesn't just have to be sexual. And I think this is where lots of women take it and then they're like, "Whoa, no, shame," like any of those things. But I
Nothing
get
wrong with
immense.
pleasure being sexual. But yeah, I just told you that I get immense pleasure from walking in the park and listening. I'll tell you, when that's taken away, I recognize how much pleasure I get from that. I get a lot of pleasure from dancing. Love dancing. So I know some people get pleasure from food, so pleasure is
Absolutely.
from a lot of things, right?
Yes. And this is what happens when you are in pleasure. A hormone is released called oxytocin in our body. And oxytocin is a connecting hormone. Some people call it the cuddle hormone. It's why when you're in pleasure, you want to share it with somebody, or you want to like reach out to your girlfriends, or like whatever that is. It's that cuddle hormone when we're in oxytocin, and it helps us with our radiance as women. Now, when we are task oriented and we're checking the box and we're crossing off the to-do list, what we get hit with is dopamine. And dopamine is that sense of achievement, that performing kind of hormone that gets released when we're crossing off.
But isn't that pleasurable as well?
It's different.
Okay.
It's different. It makes us feel accomplished, but feeling accomplished is a much different experience from receiving pleasure.
Okay.
Both are important, but if we're in too much dopamine, it actually inhibits oxytocin, which is why so many women will hit goals and still feel unfulfilled. That was what I experienced. We were making more money than we'd ever made, and all I felt was tired. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I had business coaches that are like, now double it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I just ripped out my entire soul for that. And now I got to double that thing. And so that's what I meant by like that price tag was way too high. I was in dopamine and I was in pressure, but I wasn't thriving in it because I thrive in oxytocin and in pleasure. And so, but here's what happens to us physiologically as well. When we're in pleasure, it actually helps us to focus more. If you've got brain fog going on, there are lots of different contributors to brain fog, but I fully believe that one of them is you're in too much push and you're in too much masculine. So if you'll pull out of that and you'll get into some pleasure, you'll start your day in pleasure, you'll go back and tap into pleasure throughout the day. When you come back to your work, you are actually more focused. It makes you more productive. And test me on this, ladies. Like, seriously, I want you to take this challenge and let me know if I'm wrong, because every time that I leave my office and connect with pleasure, every single time I come back and I'm more focused, I get things done in less amount of time. This is one of the ways that you can bend time and space, is by using pleasure to be able to do that. We are different in every cell of our bodies from men, but we are complementary to them. So this is not battle of the sexes or who is better or any of those things. But we as women are divinely designed to lead with our feminine and let masculine energy support us, instead of always being in masculine. And then every once in a while, maybe we'll tap into feminine. But as women, we're very adaptive. We can and we've had to be scrappy for thousands and thousands of years as a matter of survival. So even though we're quite adaptive, it can be hard for us initially to get into our natural state of that feminine, because it feels so foreign to us, because we live in a highly, highly masculinized society. Right. Business is 100% masculine, and that's okay until women are in there, and we can make such a bigger difference leading with our feminine and letting masculine support. Holy cow, we can change everything.
As you were talking, I'm thinking of the single mom that has to do, and she gets no pleasure. She gets no pleasure. So, so how would you suggest she finds pleasure? She has no time to walk. She has no time to go to the gym.
Well, you know what?
She has no time. Maybe cook herself something, or do like Oprah and have a bath. I mean, you're right. Fine. I'm just brainstorming right now, because I do know that single mothers
Single
So we don't have a lot
mothers
of
need a
time for pleasure.
community. Women need a community, and more so than anybody else would be single mothers who are wearing the mother and the father hat all the time, and the
Yeah, yeah,
provider and the nurturer hat, like all the time.
right. Yes.
And so they need that support group. They need their community of people that will encourage them, people that can give them breaks every once in a while so that they can reconnect with their identity, reconnect with who they are. But this is what I would say to single men and to single women and everybody out there. Actually start your day in feminine energy. Start your day in quiet. And if that means waking up 15 minutes early, then wake up 15 minutes early. It's the greatest gift you can give to yourself. And do a breathing meditation where you just breathe in and you breathe out and you listen to soothing music with the whole intention of opening yourself up to receive, because God or your higher power wants to connect with you, wants to guide you, wants to do the heavy lifting for you, but you need to put yourself into a position of receiving in order for that to happen. And so just 15 minutes. I love that you listen to podcasts. So perhaps on the commute to work, you put in an uplifting podcast that helps you to stay in that right frame of mind. And then even throughout the day, run to the restroom and just move throughout the day.
The music
Breathe
thing,
throughout the day.
have a radio, at your desk or something, or that you can listen to. But yes, and even if you, move in your chair. Yeah, I mean, I was just brainstorming of, somebody that's listening and says, I don't got to have time for pleasure. We're brainstorming, but yeah, the quiet time before the kids are up, where you can just sit and have a cup of coffee or read your Bible or meditate. I do all that. I have a long morning routine because I do all that and then I go walk for an hour. And my day starts at around 12 noon because I have a huge morning routine and it helps me to find my pleasure. Yes. So
and mine is like that too. Totally I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning, but and so that I can have a nice 2-hour routine before I hit the gym. But there's not everybody can do that. And I didn't start that way either. I started with 15 minutes because that's all I could do until I trained my body. And then I saw
you're self-employed, so now you can do the way you want.
Yes, exactly. But start where you're at. If you're like, oh, ball, I can't start my day at noon like Myrna, and she's got this ideal life, and I wish I were her, and all these wonderful things. But just start where you're at, not where you want to be, and just watch how things open up.
Coffee, quiet time, and I tell you, it's a beautiful feeling because when I come downstairs in the morning and nobody's there, it's beautiful. It's not beautiful.
It is. Yes. Yes. I have 4 kids. I understand interruptions. And so ain't nobody up as early as I am. So I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
It's so beautiful. Honestly,
my thoughts.
You can steal your pleasure from anywhere, right?
Yes.
Go buy one of those vibrators.
And you know what? Do that too. I'm a big proponent of that. Absolutely. Take a breath, release the shame around it. Like, this is connecting you to God. It is.
Oh, that is awesome. All right. So, now one of the other things you talked about is that when you were in the push, you always felt not good enough. And as coaches, that's one of the top things that women and men feel, as far as, because they're always comparing themselves to other people, and they're always thinking they're not as good as someone else, or they're not as further along, and all this self-critical thing. So how are we using feminine energy, because I'm assuming that's still the topic, to help us with our feelings of not good enough?
Well, first of all, if you'll get into your feminine, it will automatically, and it's going to feel uncomfortable at first. Like when you're dancing and things, you're going to feel awkward, and it's okay. It's always awkward before it's elegant. So let it be awkward. It's all right. It's always uncomfortable until it isn't, but get in there and start feeling. You're actually going to start feeling more of a sense of self for you, whether you're a fantastic dancer or not. You're going to feel a connection with your own self, which actually increases confidence in a very natural way. And so allow that to happen. What I have found is that enoughness is a decision. And we're taught to wait for other people's approval and other people's nod of acceptance. Yes, that's good enough. Now you're good enough. And that's one of the reasons why I drove my business into the ground, because I was waiting for somebody else to say, you're a star, you have the it factor, or, you know, whatever it is that I wanted somebody to discover me, but I needed to discover myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people discovered me. But then when they discovered me, I didn't care whether they discovered me because I'd already discovered myself. But what it really is a decision that I am enough exactly where I am to create the life and the reality that I desire. Now, I might not have all of the marketable skills that I need in that moment, but I have everything required to get me going or to keep me on that path. I always knew God was enough. And so until I knew that I was enough, I could rely on God and the inspiration that he would give me and the people that he would put in my path that would help me go farther and farther along. That as I saw what was happening and I would follow the nudges and follow the promptings, I just saw things open up. So it is a decision. That enoughness is a decision. And I see comparisonitis going on in women all the time. And we're told this great lie that the playing field is even, and it isn't. We compare our weakness to somebody else's strength.
Strengths, right.
We compare our race with somebody else's race, and that's not fair to us. And that's
But you
not
know what they're
fair to
saying?
them.
They're saying that social media is feeding a lot of that now.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Social media is doing so much harm if you allow it to harm you. And so I would say, don't allow it to harm you. In fact, those women who are working their own business, social media is the way that we get out there these days. I do what's called post and ghost. I actually learned this from Joe Rogan. Post and ghost. I post and then I don't come back.
You listen to him, huh?
Occasionally, every once in a while. But this one I did remember. He said, I just post and ghost because there's trolls out there. You know, when you're not in the arena, there's millions of cheap seats and people will take those cheap seats and they will make cheap shots at you because they're not the ones in the arena. And so I don't care what the trolls have to say. I don't, and you get to the point where you don't really care what I mean, you care to a certain extent, but it's like, this is me being authentic. And this is what I want to put out into the world. And you're going to do whatever you're going to do with it. Yeah. And so I'm just going to post it and ghost.
Yeah. But a lot of people look at, you know, the great bodies, because everybody's got a great body on Instagram, the great bodies, they look at, you're laughing, right? You know, they look at all these different things and they want that and they feel not good enough and they don't have the self-confidence. And, you know, I haven't experienced any trolls, you know, on my social media, but everybody is always talking about, you're right, the people, the trolls that, you know, that has the cheap shots and got nothing better to do and all that. But yeah, not feeling good enough is the top thing. And you know, it can't go away, you know, probably just like that. They probably need to do some work, whether is with a coach like yourself or, you know, with God or, you know, however, but, you know, you've got to, if you don't feel like you're enough, you got to do some work to get over
Agreed.
that. But, you know, being in your feminine and understanding, you know, enjoying your feminine is actually a good place because, you know, you don't have to have all the booty to be feminine.
You don't, no. And you don't have to have the moves to be feminine. If you just get in there and that's the thing, like you start connecting to who you truly are, and then you start feeling enough. Yes. You stop caring whether somebody else thinks that you're enough or not, because you're having such a great time in the body that you have in the moment. Yeah.
You just got to, love yourself. Yeah, it's a big word. Love yourself.
It is.
Love yourself as you are, because, you know, the crazy thing about it is that, you know, these women that are going and get all these things done to them, the men on the other hand is saying, oh, you're too fake. But the women want to get that. But, you know, there's a lot of men that still enjoy the natural woman. So if you're one of those natural women, you know, regardless of what you look like, you just embrace that because that's who you are. Right. And,
you know,
yeah.
There was a study done, and I don't know who did the study and I can't give credit to it, but they polled a whole bunch of men and asked what the most attractive quality in a woman was, or the most attractive thing in a woman was to them. And they said, confidence. A
It's
woman
true.
who has decided she's enough. A woman who has decided she is enough. And it was interesting because I was like, really? It's not the big boobs or the really small waist and the teeny tiny, like
Right.
it, like
People are
really it
taking out
is.
their ribs now so that they can have these curve, 19-inch waists and all this nonsense. But yeah,
Yeah.
but I've known that for a long time, even way before I got into self-improvement. I had a best friend that when I look at her, I didn't think she was hot, but she thought that she was hot.
Yes. And she got all the guys, didn't she? Yeah. Because they'll just go with it. They'll be like, okay, because the feminine
Yes.
is such a powerful energy. And remember, the masculine is divinely designed to serve the feminine and to pleasure the feminine. So the men will just go along with it in really beautiful ways. And when I started dancing at the gym, I had men come up and say, that is so attractive. Like the confidence you have. I could never dance in a public place like this. And ladies, like, I'm not like, doing the whole Britney Spears or whatever.
Not twerking, right? Yes.
I'm moving my shoulders. I'm moving my hips. I'm doing a few dips. I'm
You're
just like
feeling
bouncing.
it. And that's basically what I said. When I dance,
Yeah.
I feel it, and
You
it
feel it.
transcends into the way I move. And that's obviously what you're doing. And it's very
Mhm.
attractive. So
It
listen,
is.
I hope you guys are picking up all these tidbits, because yes, Allyson and I are leaving some stuff here that you need to pick up. And it's it's good stuff, because I know, and I'm gonna get back into maybe listening to music while I work. And I'm sure that that's
Yes.
going to revive me. I do the walking thing and the meditating, and but sometimes, yeah, because I'm a one-man operation and I have a lot to do.
Mhm.
Sometimes when it gets heavy, the load is heavy,
Yes. Yes.
then I need to do what I love, and that's dancing. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
and the thing is with dancing is that regardless of what music you like, you can find, but music has got great energy. Even if you
It
just
does.
listen to it, it's got great energy.
It
So
does. Like listen to it and just smile even. That
yeah,
will
music
do
would
so
make
much.
everybody feel good.
Uh-huh.
We're talking about Michael Jackson. That's what he did. He made you feel good with his music. You know what I mean? And there's
Yes.
one times I could just turn on his music and I would feel good immediately, right? So
Uh-huh. Yeah. And
yes.
you
All
can't help
right.
but
Well,
move.
yeah. Well, we were having a great conversation here, but we're coming to the end of our time. So talk about, I know you said you have a free gift for our listeners. Talk about your program, let us know how we can reach you online, and your website, and, what is your free gift for us?
Awesome. Thank you. So I think that the feminine is worth a deeper dive. So I actually created a free download. It's an at a glance download. So you can look at the list of feminine qualities and masculine qualities right there laid out for you. It also has what it looks like when we show up in disempowered feminine or disempowered masculine. So you know which energy you're playing in more often than not. This is so helpful for me to know, oh my gosh, I've been too masculine, or, oh, I've been too feminine. So you can get that at prosperityapproach.com/at-a-glance. And the links will be in the show notes, I'm sure. But this was so helpful for me to just really start doing a really beautiful dance between the feminine and the masculine, and leading with my feminine. I also have a podcast. It's called The Prosperity Approach. And so if you want to hear my philosophy and practical tips for actually living in prosperity, rather than waiting for prosperity to come to you before you live in it, I would love to have you join my audience there as well. We have shared so many tips, but they're really, really simple. So don't be deceived by the simplicity. There is sophistication in the simplicity. So pick up one or two of these nuggets that Myrna has dropped, that I have dropped, and try those on yourself, and see if it makes a difference. I guarantee you that it will. You can see what I'm up to over at AllysonChavez.com. You can join our free Facebook group. It's called The Prosperity Experience. And I actually have regular masterclasses where we talk about mindset, where we talk about how to change those programs and how to lead with that feminine. And you can find out more information about that at prosperityapproach.com/free-masterclass.
Awesome. Are you on Instagram?
Yes. Yeah. Allyson Chavez _. Thank you. I always forget Instagram. I need to not.
I know it's becoming the top social media platform.
It is.
Awesome. All right. Awesome. I love it. Listen, like I love this conversation, and I learned a few things as well too. I think that I'm a very feminine woman, but maybe I don't tap into my feminine energy as much as I should. So this is basically a good refresher for me to get into a little bit of flirting more and, enjoy music, because I absolutely love music and love dancing. And so definitely that's my two takeaways that I'm taking away from here. But yeah, and also because I know what Allyson was talking about when she says, well, you feel that you've got goals, but it feels heavy and you've got to push and you've got to do. And now, what we're doing is we're giving you an insights on how you can, tap into your feminine energy and draw things to you where you're not just having to push. So yeah, this was an excellent conversation, Allyson. Thank you so much for, allowing us, the women, to understand feminine energy and when they're in masculine energy. And we didn't touch on, I think, yeah, we did, when, my guest talked about, being masculine at work and putting the masculine energy in the drawer when you go home so that you can be feminine to your husband, because your husband or partner does not want to deal with a masculine woman.
That's true.
That's where the friction comes in, because you're too masculine. But what Allyson is saying is that you don't need to be masculine at work either. You can tap into your feminine energy. And if you want a poster child to see how it works as far as financial abundance is, look at her work. You also have a book, don't you?
I do. It's called The Prosperity Approach.
Right, exactly.
I'm so happy you're reminding me of all these things. Thank you, Maria.
Because I know it's in your bio. So yes, you also have a book. So yeah, you guys pick up her, Allyson's book, and connect with her on our podcast and on Facebook, so that because a lot of times you hear something once and it doesn't stick. So sometimes you need to have it, repeated, so that, it can get into your system, so that you don't have to think about being in feminine energy, that you stay there.
Yes. 100%.
Right. Okay. Yes. Well, Allyson, thank you so much for being a guest on the show and bringing your energy and sparkle and great content. I loved our conversation. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I aspire to bring you entertaining guests every week that not only allow you to think and, transform your mind, because the end goal is so that you can transform your life and live the life that God intended you to have. And that's basically what Allyson said turned her around, because she felt that, what she was doing was her purpose, and she learned the way to do it properly. So I congratulate her on, her business, and wish her well. Any last words, Allyson?
I would just say one thing, that being feminine, being flirty, being sexy has nothing to do with what you wear. It's all about your essence and who you are.
Yes. It's got to come from inside, right?
Yep. And you've got it.
Inside. But you can give them a double whammy. It can be coming from the inside, and the outside looks good too. Allyson, The first thing I said to her, wow, I love that hair of yours. She's definitely very feminine looking.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you for tuning in. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, I would definitely love for you to rate and review, so that we can reach a wider audience and keep bringing you exciting guests every week. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Allyson. Until next time, namaste.